Imagine this. Envision yourself immersed in the breathtaking, sun-kissed canola fields of Saskatchewan, where endless horizons of shimmering gold promise not just a harvest of abundance, but a lifeline for families, communities, and an entire nation's economy. Only for a sudden, merciless decree from Beijing to unleash tariffs that could transform this vibrant sea of opportunity into a desolate wasteland of despair and debt. This isn't a mere economic footnote buried in policy papers. It's a pulse-racing, high-drama catastrophe tearing at the very soul of Canada, laying bare the precarious footing under Prime Minister Mark Carney's governance. Oil pipelines are sputtering to a halt. Agricultural titans are on the brink of collapse, and resilient souls in provinces like Saskatchewan are mounting a desperate defense for their way of life. But don't look away now, because this gripping narrative transcends simple defeat. It's an explosive revelation of how Ottawa's cowardly policies have betrayed our heartland, the valiant resistance spearheaded by Premier Scott Moe on the international front lines, and the clairvoyant alerts from titans like Donald Trump, who long ago predicted this brutal dominion would shatter spectacularly. As we dissect every layer of this turmoil, you'll uncover the reasons behind Canada's risky globalist wagers detonating right in our backyard. The human toll on everyday heroes from farmers to factory workers, and the audacious blueprint required to mobilize, mend, and rise stronger before the shadows engulf us entirely. Brace yourself. This is the adrenaline-fueled demystification of Canada's economic mirage, far more enthralling than any Hollywood saga. Let's catapult straight into the vortex of this upheaval. Canada finds itself reeling, utterly ambushed in a sophisticated international ballet it botched from the opening act. Guided by Carney's hand, Ottawa has toyed with upscale global maneuvers, imposing hefty tariffs on Chinese steel and electric vehicles in a bid to mirror American tactics, yet devoid of the tenacity or strategic depth to withstand the inevitable counterpunch. In retaliation, China has executed a masterful strike, severing vital Canadian oil conduits and battering our colossal canola sector with unforgiving tariffs. The aftershocks form a relentless wave, destabilizing financial landscapes, evaporating employment opportunities, and unraveling the intricate tapestry of prosperity that defines Western Canada. Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe, alighting from exhaustive diplomatic expeditions to Beijing, South Korea, and Japan, is igniting emergency flares with an intensity that demands attention. He's proclaiming loud and clear that this turmoil isn't a fleeting anomaly. It's the harbinger of a monumental implosion. And what of Carney? He's thrust into a whirlwind of urgency, frantically deploying verbal barricades that resonate as futile echoes amid the storm. This, dear audience, is the unfiltered outcome of stewardship that barters away our sovereign might for superficial coalitions, auctioning off our invaluable assets to remote puppeteers. Conversations with my connections in Canada, friends, relatives, sketch a portrait of escalating anguish, ballooning expenses, obscured tomorrows, and an insidious dread that the country's once unshakable groundwork is fracturing irreparably due to blatant mismanagement. Conjure up the vivid tableau of Moe's voyage. Descending from transcontinental flights across Asia, he's storming toward Ottawa for high-stakes confrontations, chief among them a direct encounter with Carney. In his composed demeanor, Moe extends appreciation for Bill C-5, the pivotal statute that accelerated a curated selection of initiatives, spotlighting the McMeekin Bay uranium endeavor within its pioneering quintet of endorsements. That's a noteworthy achievement, indeed, a venture profoundly embedded in the approval pipeline, rendering it an ideal candidate for that foundational batch. Nevertheless, Moe elevates the discourse, asserting that this represents only the prelude. Saskatchewan thrives with a constellation of uranium operations and diverse undertakings scattered throughout its expanse, each clamoring for federal sanction to unleash their potential. These aren't whimsical aspirations. They're catalysts for communal revival, forging lasting vocations and extracting the bounty from our subterranean treasures. Mo is championing a sweeping regulatory metamorphosis, confronting the swirling inquiries regarding Saskatchewan's precise aspirations under Bill C-5 or expansive clearances. It's a declaration of war against the labyrinthine bureaucracy that paralyzes advancement, liberating torrents of pent-up investments to flourish, generate livelihoods, and propel economic ascension. Mo's revelations strip away the veils concealing profound divisions. Emerging directly from the epicenters of Asian influence, crucial gateways to our export aspirations, his trajectory locks onto Carney stronghold. He upholds etiquette, commending the uranium concession as a constructive stride. But let's pierce the facade, its paltry offerings juxtaposed against the opulent entitlement of the Canadian West. Ottawa parades this solitary allowance as the pinnacle of collaborative excellence, indulging in self-congratulatory gestures. However, they've constructed an impregnable bastion of regulations, condemning multitudes of mining operations, energy breakthroughs, infrastructural masterpieces, and pioneering enterprises to indefinite suspension. We're discussing fortunes in deferred capital, resources ensnared by Machiavellian tactics and intrigue. For Carney and his enclave, this maneuver is about perpetuating supremacy, curbing the ascent of juggernauts like Saskatchewan and Alberta to safeguard their monopolistic perch. A prosperous West forges an indomitable Canada, and that vision evidently instills terror in Ottawa's corridors. The irony twists like a knife. Had the central authority This vicious loop demands termination. Yet Carney soars to exclusive forums like Davos, simulating serenity amidst the tempest. Herein resides the abyssal rift. Mo is the architect, the dispatcher, the expansion visionary committed to uplifting his constituents. Carney, in stark opposition, consolidates command and extinguishes innovation. This polarity elucidates Canada's perpetual retreat, while the United States, fueled by Trump's audacious energy doctrines, catapults forward with unbridled success. Redirect your focus to the canola epic, a luminous beacon of this overarching calamity. Enveloping more than 20 million acres of fertile terrain, canola embodies a $43 billion colossus, with verdant expanses primed for reaping throughout the prairies. Yet, emissaries from China's Ministry of Commerce have detonated a 75.8% anti-dumping levy on every kernel of Canadian canola, commencing forthwith. A vengeful riposte to Canada's July steel impositions and the draconian 100% surcharge on Chinese EVs, vestiges of Trudeau's legacy tailored to harmonize with Yankee postures. For the legion of 40,000 cultivators who nurture this staple yearly, this transcends theoretical debate. It's a visceral assault on survival. Encounter Ryan Hofford, stewarding his ancestral holdings in Boissevain, Manitoba. His regional quotations plummeted by roughly $1 per bushel in an instant, evaporating substantial sums from his enterprise. Aggravated by prolific outputs across the prairies, this glut threatens to plunge valuations even further. Abundance escalates. Worth diminishes. Hofford cautions, girding for an arduous odyssey ahead for canola stewards. This onslaught isn't novel. China previously inflicted a 100% tariff on canola derivatives last year, effectively fortifying barriers and isolating our commodities in totality. Scott Moe's incisive tweet crystallizes the indignation. Federal Minister Champagne champions the retention of EV tariffs, invoking protections for sectors, labor forces, and localities. Moe counters with precision. And what of Saskatchewan's laborers, locales, and canola domain? Team Canada must transcend the confines of Quebec or Ottawa's enclaves. It's an imperative for equity. The fury simmers intensely. Under Carney, Canada navigates without a compass or blueprint. It's a gradual erosion into obscurity, potentially immortalizing him as one of history's most lamentable premiers, eclipsing Trudeau's nadir. Foregoing the cultivation of authentic bargaining power, Ottawa merely parrots American tariffs, sans the resilience to absorb reprisals. Beijing retaliates with venom, and the prairies endure the venom. Quotations implode instantaneously. Harvests forfeit their essence. China has systematically constricted pathways, while federal retorts devolve into orations on synergies and novel ventures. Vacuous oratory stripped of essence. The ludicrousness sharpens into stark relief. China's inquiry into purported pea-dumping compels Saskatchewan's leader to beseech Ottawa for elite mediation. From the electoral aftermath onward, entreaties have echoed for Carney to interface with China's apex, and he obliged with a June dialogue to the Chinese premier, the inaugural such exchange since 2017. Yet, what substantive yields materialized? Utter void. Levees persist, portals remain barricaded, and Beijing's contemptuous echo resounds. Canada, you are but a negligible entity. Carney flaunts these prestigious interactions as conquests, but genuine command surpasses dialogues and dispatches. It manifests in palpable triumphs. During his stewardship, Canada entangles itself in commercial skirmishes with the planet's dual economic behemoths, the U.S. and China, estranging both through a masterpiece of bungled diplomacy. This lacks tactical acumen. It's unadulterated folly, with Western Canada shouldering the fiscal burden as Carney performs on the world theater. Meanwhile, cultivators confront the harvest horizon veiled in ambiguity. If these tariffs endure, the vista for canola nurturers and the expansive agrarian arena dims ominously. As delineated by specialists, the tariffs' repercussions pivot on their scale, designated wares, and persistence. Extended application proliferates pervasive, acute adversities. The fields hum with ongoing collections, encompassing canola, with producers craving certainties regarding distribution channels and compensation. Devoid of tariff redress, foreseeability dissipates, equilibrium fractures. Moe's incursion into China illuminates the agrarian realm's dire straits. He's personifying authentic guidance by contending to sustain apertures, fortifying his province's agrarian vanguard. The wagers are astronomical. $4.3 billion in Sino engagements across canola, wheat, petroleum, and supplementary arenas. Forfeiting this conduit inflicts a debilitating strike upon Saskatchewan's foundational pillars, with repercussions too harrowing to exhaustively chronicle. Employment hemorrhages, communal disintegration, ancestral estates teetering toward oblivion. Yet, Moe cannot orchestrate this rectification in isolation. Sovereign clout resides with Carney, whose doctrines kindled much of the conflagration. Cultivators premonished that tariffs on Chinese merchandise would incite counteroffensives. They were prescient, yet disregarded. Presently, the counteroffensives pulverized those identical sentinels. Carney's ameliorative strategies? Gradual credit augmentations, subtle eco-fuel modifications, ambiguous biofuel commitments. These gleam in media missives, but falter in addressing the nucleus. A disintegrating alliance with our secondary paramount patron. It's superficial patching over profound ruptures instead of incisive restoration. Cultivators dangle in suspense, navigating harvest with spectral uncertainties about vending prospects or fiscal viability. Ottawa's proclaimed bolstering echoes vacantly absent commodity circulation.